Welcome to episode 41 of the Mile 62 podcast. I'm your host, Richard Elkins, coming to you from Austin, Texas. Have a great episode today. I'm interviewing Jarmal Richard. He's with I Connect 2 Sports in Australia. He's also based in the U.S., and we're going to talk about ultra running in Australia, New Zealand, and his new film project, Run the Otways. It's an exciting episode. I think you will like it. So stay tuned after the break. Thank you.
Hi, Richard.
Hey, Jamal. Hey,
How you going?
Hey, good to connect with you. Yeah, I'm doing good. It's Monday afternoon there, right?
It is. You have very good timing.
Yeah, no, it's good time. It's good time to talk. I'm excited to talk to you about ultra running in Australia.
No, excellent.
Yeah.
I'm excited about it as well.
Great. So you're just a little background about yourself. So were you living in the U.S. before and then moved to Australia?
Yeah, so I was born. I'm American. I'm a dual citizen, American and Australian. I was born in New Orleans and grew up as a kid in California. So I went to grade school and high school in California, and then I went to college at Dartmouth in New Hampshire, and then I went to graduate school at USC. And then I moved to Australia back in 96. So I've been here about 25 years now.
Oh, wow.
Yeah, and I go back and forth. I mean, obviously we're in uncharted times with COVID, but before COVID hit, I'd spend about a third of the year in California, Colorado, and New Hampshire, doing different running things. But since COVID's hit, I've been really sort of restricted to Australia, and New Zealand. But it's been a huge blessing because I've been able to do different projects, a lot of it exploring, a lot of long distance running, extreme running, exploring rather than just competitions and stuff.
Yeah. It's more adventure type stuff.
Yeah, which has been very good.
Yeah, we have some things in common. I lived in San Jose for 2 years, and then before that, I lived in China for 10 years. So,
oh, wow.
I lived in Asia for a while, and I made it down to Australia one time, Sydney area for vacation. But yeah, it's interesting, and the COVID's done the same thing for me. I've been kind of stuck in place for over a year, and still talking with suppliers and stuff in Asia, but I haven't been able to travel anywhere. And the nice thing is I've been spend more time with family and all that, but yeah, I can definitely relate.
It is interesting because you go from just traveling nonstop, and then it does make you appreciate the place that you're in though a bit more, doesn't it?
Yeah, it does for sure. It does for sure. So what kind of work do you do?
So I have
focusing on running?
My own company, I Connect to You Sports. So we train pro athletes on endurance and sort of their athleticism. So we started that about 9 years ago, training rehabbed pro athletes, so athletes who had gotten injured and they needed to go through rehabilitation. So we were really focused on getting them back to game day performance level. So for me, because of my basketball background, we started with basketball players, but now we've got football players, basketball players, baseball players. So that was our core business, training the pro athlete on endurance. And now we also have our own growing list of endurance sort of, I guess, challenges. So we've got some running events, and we've got a couple things we're planning for this year. In a perfect world, we'll finally be able to start our own private ultra league in Southern California, which I'm looking forward to. So if it's not 2021, it'll be 2022, but we're definitely moving forward with that. and we've got our own basketball league during American summer in Los Angeles and in Oakland. So
Oh,
yeah,
okay.
so
Yeah.
those things keep us busy.
Yeah, I was looking at the website and I saw something about point guard classes, and I said, "Well, boy, they definitely do a lot of training in basketball."
Yeah, so with point guards, we obviously train in person, but we also have our online academy where kids go through. I say kids, anyone who's sort of like grade school, high school, or college.
Uh-huh.
They go through. We assess them, and then we build these programs online based on how they actually perform, and because of our biomechanics background with all the pro and ultra running I do, we're able to assess basketball players with a little bit more detail than the average coach would be able to.
Right.
So we actually give them sort of a not a body makeover as such, but we actually explain to them how their body actually moves in the program, not just most training. It's you need to do X number of these and Y number of these, but we actually explain to them how their body performs while they're doing those things.
Oh, wow. Wow.
So that's been interesting.
Yeah, sounds
Yeah,
like it.
yeah, um, yeah. And then we've got which is really exciting is the first of hopefully a few of our film projects. So Run the Otways documentary comes out on the 11th of April. So I'm really excited about that.
Yeah, how are you going to get that out? Are you going to put it on YouTube or Amazon? How are you planning?
Yeah, so it's going to be shown for a weekend locally in Australia at two theaters, and then we're going to put it online and stream it from YouTube and then from our website. And then what we're hoping to do is so the film is really about the connection of a runner to nature. I'm the runner in the film,
Yeah, yeah.
but it's less about performance and more about the connection with nature. Although the sheer volume of running I did is covered in the documentary, so you'll get a chance to sort of see the data around what I did. So I ran basically 1,000 kilometers, which is about 640 miles, 650 miles of the Otway National Forest, which is in Victoria, Australia.
Okay.
And it's literally my favorite place to run in Australia. There are other places like it in different parts of the world and other places that I really love running, but it's quite unique. And the other thing is it's not massively known to runners.
Yeah, yeah.
So I come from I've been running trails since I was 14
Right.
in Santa Monica Mountains and in Malibu Hills and stuff like that.
Oh, yeah, it's a
So I'm
beautiful area to
used to
run.
trail
Yeah.
running.
Yeah.
Yeah, yeah. So I like that, and then to be able to combine the trail running with the forest, the actual natural forest, it's just pretty special. So the film does a really good job. The team, they work very hard on it. The film crew, really good job of telling the nature story,
Uh-huh.
which is the primary reason we created it was to. I mean, you know how people have been really, people are struggling with their own sort of getting their lives back on track because of how COVID's rocked everything.
Right, right, right.
But even in the best of times, people were struggling a bit to just connect with nature anyway. So we're hoping that this film at least encourages whether you're, an extreme runner like me or you just want to have a go, your first run outside, just to get out in nature and really appreciate it. Yeah, yeah.
Yeah, I
So
think that's the
that's
key,
what it's about.
that's what converts a lot of road runners, they go run the trails and they learn about the community in ultra running and they get hooked on it. I was reading your teaser and it's, pretty powerful statement. I wrote one down. It says, "Now more than ever, we are striving for wellness and greater natural peace in our lives." And that's very true. And getting out in nature and interacting with nature and that's I've always tell other ultra runners, a lot of people they'll use pacers and crews. I never do, and it's like, why? It's like, well, when I get out on in an ultra, I like to become part of nature and just by myself. And I think there's a lot of
It's
benefits to
so
it. Yeah.
it's such a massive element to it, isn't it?
Yeah.
Like it's so hard to describe that experience when you're just and you look at all around you and it's just natural. And I heard this great quote from this runner. He said, "Everything out there is alive, and it's trying to communicate with you if you let it."
Yeah.
And it is
Definitely.
so true. Like, it is so trying to invite us to connect to it, not just take it for granted, and to understand it, and and respect it. So, and my view is like with anything, rather than telling people what to do, I'd rather show them and have them try it,
Exactly.
because I don't think they would ever look back. It's so funny, because of the type of running I do. I don't run into a lot of runners, but I do run into a lot of cyclists. So now, now I've got like three different cycling groups following me on Strava, which is really cool because I get to talk to them about hills that I think really only cyclists have been on. And I guess I'm fortunate enough to be able to do what I do. So, but it'd be really nice to encourage some more adventurous runners to really get out there and give it a go.
Oh yeah, yeah.
Um, you know,
Well,
on some of
tell
these
tell me
bigger
about
runs.
this Otways National Forest. Are you running on like single track? Is it like Jeep roads, or is there many trails out there? Or
A mixture of all. So some of the trails we picked aren't really trails. Like I had to make the trail,
uh-huh.
and then others are clearly defined trails. We used a lot of mountain bike trails. So there's a couple areas in the Otway Forest that are really well known for mountain
Oh,
biking.
okay.
And the central one is called Forest. It's a town called Forest. So we spent a lot of time in that town running mountain bike trails. And then so my favorite, probably most challenging one was I ran from this area called Apollo Bay,
Uh-huh.
which is basically the southwest corner of the Otways, and I ran across the top of the forest to the north east corner. So in order to do that, I had to go on road for a fair bit
I see.
because there's no way you can get through it all doing that. So most of the runs were somewhere between 50 and 60 kilometers each Saturday I would pick out. I run each week about 200 to 220, 230 kilometers a week,
Uh-huh.
and then that is capped off with that Saturday run. So the Saturday runs were the runs where I would just go out and really just do the big ticket exploring. Yeah, yeah.
That
So
sounds
a
exciting.
mixture of both, and I got a chance to get really muddy. I got a chance to run through waterfalls. I got a chance to run on just normal asphalt.
Uh-huh.
Yeah, real and sand. I got a chance to run through the beach.
That sounds exciting.
You name it.
So is this kind
Yeah,
of
climb
like
mountains.
south east part of Australia if we were to take Sydney south, or is this in kind of more central? Um,
Yeah, so if you're at Sydney, you just go due
due
south.
south.
So
Okay.
Victoria's so you go Sydney, New South Wales is the state that Sydney's in,
Okay.
and then Canberra, the national capital, is just under that, and then um, under that is the state of Victoria. So in the state of Victoria, um, the Otway National Forest is on the coast, mostly towards what's called the 12 Apostles. And so you're looking at an area that's probably an hour and a half outside of Melbourne. Melbourne's probably the biggest city in Victoria.
Okay.
So the Otway National Forest is about an hour and a half west of Melbourne.
Oh wow, that's exciting. Do they have any
Yeah.
ultra races in Otways Forest, or is it? Uh,
There is one, and it's called the Surf Coast Century,
oh, okay.
and so it's really defined in a particular area of. So it's not the whole Otways. It's a defined area around Anglesey,
Okay.
which is a beautiful coastal town. It's just magnificent, this area. So one of my hopes is to raise awareness to people who are interested in setting up bigger things. Our company is looking at a fairly decent sized challenge throughout the forest. So it would be sort of between that 100 and 200 kilometer sort of
Oh,
thing.
okay.
Yeah, so it would be a real adventurous sort of thing. But there's so much diversity and there's so many locations to pick. It's so uncharted. And I think anyone who would come to the Otway Forest would treat it hopefully with the respect that it's due.
Right.
And that's the other great thing about the ultra community is I have yet, touch wood, I've yet to come across a community that didn't have nature and the outdoors as the first priority, and then the ultra running as the second priority. Which I think that's one of the reasons why so many people gravitate to ultra running. It's not. I'm not having a shot at or go at any other type of running. I'm just saying that people really are aware of their role and their connection to nature.
Yeah, I think that's very
In the
important.
ultra
Yeah.
running community.
Also, the community is
Yeah.
strong. When you go out and I did road racing for a long time. You go out and you run and then you leave. You don't really talk to anybody, and it's very different in the ultra running community. And
Oh God, yeah. We have to pry each other away from each other.
yeah,
Yeah, we chat beforehand. We prepare. We chat during. There's hours and days of chatting, and then afterwards as well. So yeah, it's probably the opposite of a lot of running competitions. We actually interact quite as a community, even with people who are quote unquote our competitors.
oh yeah, oh yeah.
Yeah, we it's yeah, it's truly special. It really is.
Yeah, and I think the Australian ultra running community is pretty strong. My podcast, I mainly cover the Texas area and the south part of the U.S. But I was looking on my Apple Podcast, about 2% of my listeners are from Australia. So, yeah,
Oh wow, that's
yeah,
amazing. Well, hopefully we can get it up to 2.5%.
yeah, yeah. I hope so.
No, I'm just
Yeah,
teasing. No, it's no reason why we can't build a community in the conversation. So, I mean, I'm American and Australian. So for me, it's important that Americans and Australians experience and talk to each other and commune, around the things that they love. The thing, I love doing is obviously running,
yeah,
but it's really important to be a part of the conversation. And there's so much that Americans can learn from Australians. There's so much Australians can learn from Americans. It's just really cool to live in this day where I can be in Victoria right now and you're in Texas and we're having this
yeah.
chat.
Exactly.
I think it's
Yeah,
pretty
there's
epic.
there's so many beautiful places around the world to run, and like in China, they have many ultras that I want to do, and I've had a chance to run in Hong Kong, beautiful trails there, some very difficult ones, and I can imagine in Australia it'd be beautiful to run there. I've seen
Oh
some
yeah,
videos of the Tarawera in New Zealand. That looks like a beautiful place
yeah.
too.
It's incredible, incredible. So there's some areas. So the Otways is my favorite, but the areas are very different. So Tasmania is just, I mean, it's just next level. It's just so uncharted. It's incredible. It's really its own unique sort of location. Queensland, you've got the big beaches and the humidity and the hills and the really tropical feeling. It's amazing to run in Queensland. And then I've run there. I've run in the Western Australian desert, and hot is an understatement. It's hot,
Yeah, I can imagine.
just heat everywhere. Um, but the terrain is so different, and the red dust and the red dirt. It's a real thing. Yeah, it's so diverse, and so what we're hoping is to sort of map a few different locations in Australia and in New Zealand
Uh-huh.
um, on videos. So Run the Outways is our first documentary. I'm hoping that we can do a couple other ones, but man, the diversity of running in this country is truly, truly special.
No, I can.
And I would encourage anyone who's either here or not here to get down here and have a go, because even though it may be the same distance, I challenge you to find anything here that you would say, oh yeah, it's exactly like at home. It is truly unique.
Oh, I can imagine. I listened to a podcast about that Delirious West race, and I think isn't it in Perth or somewhere
Yeah.
over there? Yeah, yeah,
Yeah, and Perth, and then just outside of Perth in
yeah.
the desert. Yeah,
The one lady that runs Destination Trails in the U.S. ran it and said it was just beautiful and really well put together. Yeah, very interesting. Yeah,
yeah. No, it is good. And then we've got a couple other ones where like people are just setting up a nice trail run that somehow connects 5 wineries to get on the tour. So you've got that aspect too.
yeah, exactly.
Yeah, it's we're very we're spoiled for choice, and we're in a situation where I think if it's done the right way, you will definitely get more runners here, but it'll be done in a respectful way. Um, that I guess the running itself has a natural filter as far as volume. I always feel home. Like if I'm going to compete in something now, I feel more at home if there's somewhere between 50 and 100 runners, because I know it's going to be a decent challenge, and I know it's going to be an extreme
Right. Yeah.
challenge. Um, so I've sort of, had years of the sort of 1 to 200, 300 people running in an event. Now I'm myself. I really like spending time either extreme exploring solo, what I
Uh-huh.
do, or extreme events, which are 100, 200 sort of events. Otherwise, I just enjoy my daily runs. Pretty special. I get to run around all this country and farmland out where our farm is. So it's just I don't have a lot of complaints when it comes to the running.
Yeah, it sounds great. Do you run into much wildlife? I mean, I always hear about in Australia,
Constantly.
snakes and stuff. We have
Well,
some rough snakes here,
if
but
you
yeah.
if you've checked out, we have the world's, I think, 5 of the 10 most poisonous snakes in the world are in
Uh-huh.
Australia. And I have seen the tiger snake is one, and the brown snake is definitely one. It's probably the most deadly. And I've seen a tiger snake and a brown snake in the last 3 days. But you don't let that
Yeah.
stop you. And I see kangaroos every week, where we live in a pretty special area. So there's lots of forest area. So we see a lot of kangaroos
Oh,
out,
okay.
koalas, wombats, wallabies. Um, yeah, koalas, wallabies. Yeah, and the bird life. Oh my goodness. Geez, it'd be a couple hundred species of birds
That
around.
sounds beautiful.
Yeah, it's pretty cool.
Do the
It's pretty cool.
kangaroos get into the forest? I always thought that they were out on the plains and stuff, but do they get in the dense forest as well?
They, no, they sort of make their way through the Otway Forest, the other forests, in the plains. Yeah, anywhere where there's natural ecosystems. They're in both ecosystems.
Oh, wow.
Not that I'm a kangaroo expert, but I've come across them pretty much in all of my journeys, be it deep forest or out in the country plains.
Oh, wow, that sounds exciting. So your film's going to release in the middle of April, so y'all just kind of wrapping it up now? Yeah.
Yeah. So our last production meeting is tomorrow. It's all done. We just want to do with the crew. We're just going to watch it, and then we're pretty much going to put a wrap on it, and we focus on just getting the message out. And yeah, it's been 4.5, 5 months we've been on this project, which has been sometimes it's a little bit sad because it's
Yeah,
done.
yeah, yeah.
The doing, I love the doing. When things are done, then you got to work out what are you going to do next.
Yeah, it's just I've a lot of
But
people that put the content together, especially like movies or videos like you're doing. I know there's just so much work and time that goes into it. So yeah, that's exciting. Yeah, once you release it, I'd be happy to post about it and try to get more awareness. So people check it out. I think that's pretty exciting.
no, I really, really appreciate that. No, we'll definitely do that. Also, we're really wanting people. We're going to be posting a lot of different content on running, places to run, technique around running, off of our Instagram. It's at Run
Yeah,
Tribes.
I saw that.
Instagram and
Yeah.
Facebook, they're the same, at Run Tribes. And on our website, iconnectyousports.com, but mostly on our social media. So I would encourage people, if they're interested in learning about the Otways or any of our other projects,
Okay.
to follow that. And then if we're gonna be releasing these maps, these running maps, and all this sort of stuff, and all that'll be it'll all just be free. People can just go on, because the point is to get people informed, so they try and go out and have a go at things. I've been really fortunate. My sponsors are very lovely people, and they really believe in what we're doing. I really believe in what they're doing, and each one of them, I've been actively a customer of
Oh, that's
theirs
great.
before they became a sponsor. So yeah, we're enjoying a really good period now, and I'm just cautiously optimistic. I'm hoping everyone continues to get through COVID, and that we see the other side of that.
Yeah, I do too.
And hopefully, nature can serve as a conduit for people to get a bit more mental peace and a bit more physical activity and physical resilience, mental resilience. It's done that for me, and I would really, if people wanted to know what I thought about it, I couldn't imagine a world not being able to run in the outdoors. It would just be counterintuitive to a balanced life. It's gave me really good natural
Yeah, same
balance,
for
which I
me.
like.
Same for me. It's some people, they get inspired. Maybe they're coming from weight loss or alcohol addiction or whatever. But for me, I just like the process. I love the process of training, and I also do some CrossFit type stuff. And but running is my thing. Yeah. I
Awesome.
the one of the silver linings of COVID is my garage is now a really good gym. So at least that's the excuse. That's
That
the
is a
excuse
silver
I
lining,
told
isn't
my
it?
wife. But yeah, yeah,
That's hilarious. Maybe I should
yeah.
tell my wife the same thing.
But yeah, no, I yeah.
Oh, just on that. Oh man, I couldn't do half of this. My wife, she is my the head of my crew. She looks after my diet, my equipment swap outs. Like, there's no way known I would have been able to complete half the run the Otways
Oh
project
yeah,
without
that's
her.
great.
She's the brains of the organization.
That's great.
So wherever you are, sweetie, I love you.
So you mentioned you're gonna put on a trail series in Southern California. Of course, there's a lot of neat places to do it there. What kind of, is it just going to be like a race series, or did you have some idea on something new?
Yeah, so and I don't mind telling you. I mean, we're still trying to work it out, but let's just say if I get it my way, that people will get a really unique view of the Angeles National
Oh, okay.
Forest.
That's where that 100 miler is, in it? The
Yeah, yeah, and so you know where that is. So that location, if the event is decent enough, and you go to the other side of that, you've covered a fair
Yeah,
bit of
yeah.
ground. So we're still working that out, working out, where we need permits and all sorts of things. There's all sorts of things you got to get right, and then to obviously number one, to respect the ecosystem and understand how the ecosystem works, and making sure whatever we do leaves as minimal a footprint as possible. But if we can work through all the things we need to work through, man, that would just be brilliant to bring high elevation ultra to Los
Oh
Angeles
yeah.
County.
Oh yeah.
Because it has never been done.
There's such a big community
So
in Southern California too. I think your participation would be very high, very very high. So
yeah, yeah, and I do miss all the people. So I train a lot in Topanga Canyon, Malibu Canyon, um, and Pacific
uh,
Palisades, but also in the Angeles National Forest as well. Um, yeah, yeah. So I'm really excited about also spending time with that part of our ecosystem. So our business is about 50% in the U.S., California, Colorado, New Hampshire, and about 50% international, split between Australia and
oh,
New
okay.
Zealand. Um, yeah, yeah. So I'm really excited about both both sections of our geography,
Sure,
if you know
sure,
what I
sure.
mean.
So so you mentioned, yeah, so your background is running, but you started out in basketball, right?
Yeah, so I had a decent basketball journey. So I played at St. Bernard High School in Plato Ray, and St. Bernard's, if you know basketball, is one of those basketball high schools of the '80s. We were very good
Uh-huh.
each year. So I finished there. I played basketball
Okay.
at Dartmouth. Then I played and when I finished at university basketball, um, I went to graduate school at USC, but I also played for. I had a contract where I was the point guard at the John Wooden Basketball
Oh, okay.
Academy, and I also played for the what now is the South Bay Lakers. It used to be called the Junior Lakers. So it was in the development league for the NBA back in the late '80s, early '90s. So yeah, most of my basketball career was in Los Angeles. Um, but the thing that made me competitive in basketball was, I think, definitely my endurance level and my ability, my athleticism, the ability to just keep moving. So I've pretty much been a runner, like a decent runner for most of my athletic career. Um, and running has always been there. Basketball was the actual sport that I signed up for, but the running was something I always did. I never did cross country. I always liked to just escape and run like for hours. So there wasn't really a lot of events for that when I was in high
Yeah,
school.
I've always heard that, of course, a lot of ultra runners, they're previously like soccer players, you're moving all directions. But I think basketball is one of those sports too. So that's a really good foundation for running. It builds up your joints and make strength
I
and
think
all that.
so. I think
Yeah.
so. Like it's well, with the athletes we work with, the pros and the people trying to become pros too, the thing that we really improve is their ability to run and their endurance level. So yeah, yeah, that's all. I'm now working with a group of triathletes on their running strategy, their running training, and their running athleticism. So I do think that there are defined things you can do. Fortunately for us, we've been fine tuning our own system for a good 7 years, and it's effective. So I'm very happy with it. I use it on myself every day, so I'm a testament to you've seen
Yeah,
how much I
exactly.
run, so you can see firsthand what this how the system works. Um, yeah, so we're having fun, but yeah, basketball and running are inextricably linked, just like soccer
Yeah,
and
yeah.
running are.
So what do you find that some of the big mistakes that they make? I do some coaching sometimes, and I found like that some of the cross country runners and stuff that they just don't have a long run in their workout every week, and you know,
Well, lots of, and I mean, I'm not a coach, I don't have the pressures that they have, so I'm not gonna Monday morning quarterback them. But I do think that a lot is overlooked with just raw athleticism
uh-huh,
and endurance. And so I would say that there's two principles that are pretty fairly true. Any person in their best physical and endurance level is going to perform their best. So that person, so not compared to anyone else, but the best athletic version of you is going to
yeah,
perform
that
the
makes
best.
sense. Yeah, that makes
Would that
sense.
be fair? Yeah. So you've got that bit. And then the second thing is the sort of mental side. You constantly, it seems to me, a lot of athletes are constantly being inundated with, I guess, short-termism, short-term drills, short-term skills, short-term. And so they don't develop a sense of mental longevity. Um, or it seems like it's harder to find opportunities to develop that. Whereas when we trained, like when I played basketball, say there's 100 hours
Uh-huh.
of basketball, probably 30 of those hours was basketball. 70 of them was just athleticism.
Right.
Yeah. Running, endurance training, other sports. Like it was like all around. Like it wasn't this obsession with just skill based only training. And again, there are some tremendous coaches out there and there's some tremendous teams, lots of success. So I'm not saying that they're not successful. I'm just saying that I think a lot of people are observing a lot of injuries to athletes due to the fact that they haven't been trained on an endurance level that's probably would put them in a better scenario. Not always, but I think maybe a little bit, if they had
Yeah,
the
makes sense. Makes
opportunity.
sense. So, are you excited to get into this more
Yeah.
race directing? I've talked to a couple of race directors in this area. It's pretty challenging.
It is very, very challenging. We will have some race directors who actually know what they're doing. I'll be hanging out. I'd like to probably
Yeah.
race a couple of them, but I'm being a little bit silly. No, I'm very excited. My whole thing is, if you sign up to something, it's got to be the best experience for every person who signs up to it. So it's got to be done the right way. It's got to be executed and managed the right way with professionals. And so that's how we've survived in business, and that's how we hopefully will continue to survive. I'm really looking forward to doing it the right way. But I think when people see Run the Otways, the documentary, they'll go, wow, that was unique. Everything we do, we try and do it in a very unique way. So even with the events, when people see it, so I'll give you an example. We have 2 film crews. Everyone on the film crew has shot at least one action
Oh, wow.
motion picture. So we will not work with a film crew unless they're professional crews who've shot action films. So our perspective, our approach, the event itself, and the way it's shot is usually unique. And Run the Outways will be the first test of whether that's unique or not. And then we'll keep ramping it up with the actual competitions as well. Even our basketball league, we shoot the videos with cameramen on the court with the players. So the angles, everything we pick is fairly unique. And so entertainment is really important to people, and the quality of the end product is really important. So I think that, yeah, I think
Well, I can attest
we'll
to
do
that.
it the right way.
The teaser that I saw was very professionally done. When I was watching, I was like, man, he didn't do that with no GoPro.
No, we didn't. No, there's a few cameras, there's a few cameramen, there's a whole crew.
There's some cool
It's
technology out there. I was looking this weekend. There's a new drone out by Skydio that it will chase you when you're running, and you don't have to control it. It's called the Skydio 2. Skydio 2. Yeah. I was watching some videos online about it because one YouTuber that does running, what's his name? I forget his name, but anyways, he was using one. But it's amazing. You don't have to control it. It just takes off, and it's got like 16 cameras and avoids trees and everything. Pretty amazing. Yeah.
Wow. That's that does sound next level. There's we've got a couple things up our sleeve with some new cameras for our next one, which I think people will really enjoy Run the Outways. I really think it's clever, but we will always pursue a unique way to tell a visual story. And so we will keep trying to raise that bar.
That's great. How long did it take y'all to produce this one?
So from start to finish, it was 5 months. The sort of post-production process has been about 5 weeks.
And how long will the content be? Is it like 1 hour, or how long is it?
No, so what we've done is we've tried to consolidate this one. So it'll be a maximum of 20 minutes. So there's so much of it that did not make the documentary. So one of the things we're going to be doing is we're going to be releasing these little mini vids throughout the year of just different excerpts, because we've got hours of footage. The next projects are going to be more like your half hour to 45-minute sort of mini films. But this one, we wanted it to be super tight. We wanted it to be a knockout blow from the start. So we decided to go with an amount of time that was entertaining, but not too much time. So the only thing they're going to get is just constantly blown away.
Well, that's good. Keep their attention and keep their attention and interest in it. So
yeah. So Yeah, yeah, and then hopefully after they've seen that, then they'll say, okay, well we saw that, so maybe we can actually sit through a 45-minute mini action film. Like, yeah. So we'll see. We'll see
No,
how we go.
I think that, it'll work well. And, if you have, kind of view-ins at, running stores and stuff. I remember Ginger Runner did that with the Barclays Marathon. They had a video that they spent a long time on, and they traveled around U.S. and Canada and running stores, and people watched it. And then eventually they released it to YouTube. But I think that's kind of what you're doing. You were going to have two filmings. Yeah, yeah.
Yeah, that's right. And then we got a couple other, like I said, there's a couple other like little mini things that we were able to capture with all the footage. So I agree with you. To me, the local community is so important. And lots of times local and small communities get overlooked for people pursuing too big of lights, and it's not. And that's their prerogative. Our prerogative is to make sure we tell great stories, and that we tell them in a location where anyone can watch them. So I love that idea of showing videos in stores and in locations that are like really relaxed and low key. It makes sense. It's part of the experience. And then you're always going to be left to whether people truly enjoy it or not. People are pretty honest. They'll tell you if they don't like
Yeah,
something.
yeah. But you know what? I think the audience, will be, people that are either doing or running, and or interested in running, that's a pretty big audience. So
Yeah, I think so. I think so. So now I really appreciate your time, Richard. I love this opportunity to talk to you and your listeners. And for all those out there, anyone who listens to this, like, it's just so awesome that you're giving us your time, and you're giving yourself, you're investing in yourself, getting yourself out there running. And if you haven't run before, maybe you want to consider spending some time investing in yourself and getting yourself connected more to nature. Because I mean, I just love it, and I'll never look back. I'll never. You should see people trying to get into my schedule. If it conflicts with me being outside, it's a struggle.
yeah, I'm the same way. And
so
yeah,
so
I'm the
yeah,
same way
I
when I'm running, especially, you
yeah.
know, my daily runs. I I don't take my phone. I just, sometimes I'll listen to music if I'm on the roads, but I get the music from my Garmin. I don't take my phone because I know that it'll disrupt what I'm doing. So yeah, it's
Yeah,
good.
no, it's good.
Well,
It's
hey,
good.
buddy, it's good talking to you. And so I'll wrap up the podcast, and I'll post it tonight. And let's keep in touch. And when you release the film, let me know how I can help. I'm happy to, help spread the word in this area. So,
Oh, that'd be tremendous. I really appreciate that. And also, obviously, we'd love to get a link to the podcast so we can spread the word about this podcast, but about like your whole vibe. Because it would be great to find a way to have an American podcast cover Australian and New Zealand
yeah.
events while they're happening. So it's not just secondhand info. So really linking the community. So I'm really hoping that this is the first of a few conversations between the two of us, and then over the journey, you guys will hopefully get a chance to hear from some of the really talented ultra runners I've got lined up for these challenges. I think you guys will really enjoy their stories, and they come from everywhere. And these people are ferocious. I mean, they are literally the standard. I'm probably the least talented of all
Well,
of
that
them,
sounds exciting. Yeah.
and I love that. Well, that's the way I grow. I love being this. I love being the dumbest one in the room because
Yeah.
the only way I can go is up.
Same
So I
for
love I
me. And
love growing. I love learning.
I'd like to explore
Yeah.
it too, because this Anchor is owned by Spotify, which is a real big company, and they've now come out with live casting on Anchor, and I haven't used it yet, but I think there is some ways where I could, cover some things live. And I know some podcasters have done that in the U.S., but it'd be nice to try to explore that with you and learn how to do that. So.
Absolutely, absolutely. So, listen, thank you so much, Richard. I really appreciate it, and to all the listeners, thank you too. It's been awesome. I look forward.
Yeah,
Hopefully, I'll get a
yeah,
chance to meet some of
definitely,
you guys
definitely
one day.
sounds good. Okay, thanks, Jarmal. I'll talk to you soon. All right, bye.